say competitive set, I have heard, and I would advocate that sometimes we look at other spas as though they are our competitors. Do you agree? Do you think that's necessarily always the case? Or are we really looking at what our guests or customers spending their money on, their discretionary money on when they're on holiday?
Anybody who knows Mary and I know that this is one of our favorite conversations. When I talk about competitive sets from a personal perspective, I am looking at various brands that are within a certain distance from the hotels.
Okay.
And what is our competition doing? And when I say competition, I might think of another luxury hotel brand.
Okay.
What do I charge for a 60 or 90-minute massage? What are they charging? Mary tends to think of competitive sets as scuba diving, golf courses, shopping malls.
And spas.
And spas.
But let me ask this then.
So how much is the Gucci bag across the hall?
Would you say that you would also look at day spas or other spas in this area that guests may leave the property and go check out because they heard it was a really great day spa or a great massage and it's so much cheaper?
Yeah, that's something we're going to have in Bali forever. There's spas on every corner. I'll never be able to necessarily compete with some of those spas from a price point. Hopefully from an experiential point, we can over-deliver the expectation. And yes, they are competitors because I see their vans pulling into the lobby and taking my guests away.
Okay.
It goes back to geographic strategies. They're picking up our Japanese or Korean guests in advance because they've booked their treatments from their home country.
Right.
If I'm not in a position with a strategy there, then I'd never have the opportunity to get them in my spa.
It's also something you've been suggesting and advocating to the other spa directors and spa managers here is to get out and see what these other spas are like and where these customers and where these guests are going so that you really get a better sense as to what your competitive set can be.
I also think identifying who you are is a very important thing as well. You can't be all things to all people, nor should you pretend to be. And, we don't need to have a 16 or 20-page treatment menu. But you need to have an idea, and it goes back to the very first thing I said. You need to know who's staying in your hotel, you need to know who's coming to your region, and you need to know what it is they actually want in order for you to very proactively decide if you want to be the one to offer it to them. Now, as I said, you don't want to be all things to all people.
With that said, what if I'm a spa director and my general manager or my owner really wants us to put XYZ menu treatment on the item? I'm in on the menu, such as a fish spa. Seems to be a big trend. Been reading a lot about it. Bali actually has one now. Your owner comes to you and says, hey, I think we really need to have that. What would you then do or say?
Again, unemotionally, I'm a numbers person. So if the owner or general manager tells me that they want something, I'm not an argumentative sort of guy. I give it to them. But what then you need to do is track it.
Okay.
You track the success. You track, is it being used? Who's using it? For how long? How much revenue did it generate? How much does it cost you to operate it? Obviously before you would put something of that great expense in, you would have to do some research in advance and show an ROI on it. It may or may not be the right decision. But as I say frequently, as you say, you can try anything. That's the beauty of our industry. Restaurants do it. They create new dishes. They have specials of the day. With us, there's a bit more training involved, so we can't just go in the kitchen and mix up some ingredients and put it on a plate and serve it. But whatever it is you're going to try, be able to measure. I think that's the important thing. And be able to measure it on a regular, ongoing basis, because strategies work. Some strategies don't work. But how do you know? And when you're benchmarking it, to what degree is it a success? Or when do you need to change and go in a different direction? I think in closing, for me, what I think the message that needs to be sent is something I've been cheerleading for a couple of years now. And that is, as an industry, we just all need to get on the same page. There's a fantastic book that exists. It's called The Uniform System of Financial Spa Reporting. It's available in the US. No, I don't get commission for it. It actually gives us all the guidance we need. And until we are all on the same page, sadly, Asia will still continue to use North America-based data, which is something that's always troubled me when I go to various conferences and seminars. We need something relevant to our region, and we need to be able to use it moving forward. I just think that it takes the guesswork out of a very emotional, touchy-feely industry, which we're spa. And that's what separates us from so many things. But it doesn't necessarily mean that we can't be on both sides of the spectrum. We can be very touchy-feely in what we do, very spiritual in our spa operations, but we can also use the financial statistics and benchmarks to run successful operations. And we do this. We've all been doing this for years globally. But can we be better at it? And the answer is yes. And that's by using information and using it proactively in how we want to position our spas, whether it's under a big brand, no brand, a standalone day spa, or privately run and operated spa. It just takes the guesswork out of what we do.
As Brian was saying, I would agree, and we've been talking about it for the last 20 months or so about the value of data. And as a former general manager, I would say that you come to me, I do want something that's factual, give me information, and be able to back up what you would like to do or what your recommendations are. Help me understand your business and do it in a factual, non-emotional way. There are resources out there which may not be perfect and may not be exact, and there's a great deal of controversy over how the numbers are gathered, but use the resources out there. For example, Smith Travel Research is doing benchmarking studies in North America, but there's no reason why they are not expanding to spa industry here in Asia. They are currently doing hotel studies here in Asia already. Intelligent Spas, based here in Asia, does an amazing job on collecting and analyzing the information to help us. So I would urge you to use those other resources. There really is no longer an excuse for spa managers or spa industry people, and that includes suppliers, consultants, educators, not to look and use these resources. Use the press releases to give you some ideas as to what makes sense for your business. The world is different. The economy is what it is. We can't change it, but we can manage it, and we can influence how we react and how we proact with our business going into 2010.